welcome back to Plow and Pantry. Today I am making some layered raw pack soups. And I'm just going to do a couple. I'm going to make a chicken soup that is like a base for chicken noodle soup. What I do, it's not safe canning practice to can like noodles and rice and stuff like that. So when I make a soup that's going to have those, I just leave that out. And then when we go to eat it, we'll empty the can in the stove, put the noodles in then, all is well, right? So I have chopped some vegetables here, and I saved the chicken for last because it's the only raw meat and I wanted it to be nice and not have to worry about the cutting board being used afterwards or having to wash it or use a different one. So I'm just finishing slicing up some chicken, and I forget every time that I do this, I forget how much I love this knife. I will link it below if you are interested in it. I've mentioned this in a previous video. This is a knife I bought for butchering chickens, not just for cooking, but I just grabbed it one day when I had to slice chicken and I was like super excited. It cuts like butter. I have good knives. I've got Cutco knives. I have Wusthov's knives. I have Henkel's knives. This one is my favorite for cutting raw meat. Anyways, the point of the soup here. I'm actually going to make two soups today. I got some chicken out of the freezer. I'm in the middle of a pantry challenge, so I have to use stuff from the freezer right now. I got some chicken out of the freezer for dinner, and I didn't need it all. This was yesterday. So I kept some of it aside for canning some chicken soup today. And then I decided also to take some ham from the freezer and make some ham and white bean soup. So I'm going to make quarts today of 2 quarts each. 2 quarts of the chicken noodle soup base and 2 quarts of a ham and white bean soup. I've chopped vegetables here. I'm gonna get this out of the way and wash my hands, and I will show you the process for this. Super easy, and it's a raw pack. You're gonna be amazed. Okay, so here's the process for this. This is, so I'm gonna do the chicken first. I've got my funnel here. I've got my canner ready. I have everything chopped some carrot. I chopped my onion in this thing that I have come to love, and I was testing out other things with it too. I tested out carrot. Carrot was a little bit too hard, so if you're wanting a chopper that chops carrot, this is not it. It does a great job with onions. Keeps me from crying. I have those sensitive onion eyes. I tried it with celery. It did do a great job with celery. I just like the shape of a hand cut celery versus I don't know if you can see this, the little shape it cuts it into. So I just did 1 piece of celery and finished with that. So here's what we do with this. We're going to layer these soups. And one of the greatest things about making your own canned soup is you get to put as much of something that you like. So you can make it all the flavors you do a regular soup, whatever you make at home, or if you want, but if you want something that is heartier than a store-bought soup or restaurant soup, this is how to go. So I'm going to start with the chicken soup. I'm going to have to wash my hands again, but we like ours really hearty with the chicken. We like a lot of chicken in our chicken soup, chicken in every bite. The other thing about customizing your soup when you can it is you can actually customize individual jars. So I'm actually going to do one of these with more carrots. I'm going to wash both of these. Be right back. Okay, I'm going to put one of these is going to have more carrot in it because my youngest daughter loves chicken noodle soup, and she is always looking for the scoop with the extra carrot in it. She likes that part of it. So you can do these in like your own, if you want to do even layers. We'll make this one the extra carrot one. If you want to have even layers, you can have even layers with this. I prefer to have a lot more weight on the meat part of the soup. I like a decent amount of onion in mine. We're putting carrots, onion, and celery into both of these. I'm just keeping a little bit back for the ham and white bean soup I'm doing. Just a little bit of celery. You might hear my dryer in the background. That's okay. Okay. So in this, what I also like to do is put all the seasonings I normally put in my own chicken soup when I make it on the stove top. So I am going to grab those. Okay, I have salt and pepper here, and I have parsley and turmeric, and I already had thyme out because I'm using that in my ham. All right, so I am going to put about a teaspoon. I'm put about a teaspoon of salt. Remember, none of these have been flavored yet. So if you were doing pints, you might want less salt than that. Put a little sprinkle of pepper. Okay. Big pinch of thyme. This is parsley. If I make this when I have fresh parsley, I use fresh parsley on the stove top. And then a little bit of turmeric. Gives it a lovely yellow color, and it's really good for you, for your immune system. And at this point, what I'm going to do is top everything with broth, leaving a 1-inch headspace, which is right about here. And what I did earlier was I emptied 2 quarts of broth into this pitcher in hopes that that would be enough for all 4 jars. I am leaving some space in here, you might notice, because when we dump this out into the stove, I want extra broth in there for the noodles. You don't have to do that. But I dumped 2 quarts into the pitcher because I wanted to make it easier just to pour it into the jars. Hoping 2 quarts is enough. Okay, definitely going to debubble these because there's all kinds of little escapee spots for things to trap air. Check my 1 inch. It's 1 1/4. My 1 inch. I need a little bit more. You could also, if you didn't have broth on hand, you could also just use water and drop in a bouillon cube, or a onion soup packet, something like that. That would be great too. Okay, these are done. I'm going to set them aside and do my ham ones. Okay, so for the ham, I am starting with these white beans. These are navy beans. I rinsed them. They are dry beans, though they are not cooked. Cooking dry beans is and I pre-measured it for 2 of these. I think I measured out for like 3/4 of a cup of beans in the jars. Canning dry beans is not necessarily an approved method. I have done a video explaining why I do it, and I will link that for you if you're interested in knowing my reasonings. Okay, and then I'm going to put in my ham, and I have put in a lot of ham here. So we have a very hearty ham soup. This is something we eat in the dead of winter, and we want stick to your bones, warm, comfort food. By the way, that broth, I opened 1 chicken broth jar and 1 beef broth jar. You can use both chicken, you can use veggie, whatever. I just thought chicken would go well with chicken soup and beef would go well with this, but I didn't want to keep them separate, so I combined them. Wash my hands again. Okay, now I'm going to put in some carrots and celery and onion. I especially like onion in this one. Okay. Got a little bit left of that. These make such a pretty little layered look before it gets all mixed together. I like looking at them. Okay, and then for seasonings for this, a little bit different, not turmeric. Okay, I am still going to go for salt. Now that ham was technically cooked because that was one of those pre-cooked ones. But so I'm going to go a little bit less on the salt just because those tend to have that. And I also, no, my broth is not salted. I never can it salted. Okay, seasonings I put in this one, I'm going to put in, I did some salt and pepper, rosemary, oregano, and thyme. Thought I brought it over, but I didn't. Just a big pinch of each. And this is something you can do with any soup recipe you have. Just keep out any starches like pasta or rice, and keep out any dairy. If you want to cream like a cream of potato soup, you could can potato soup and then put it in the pan with cream when you're ready to make it. It'd still be a super fast meal, but those things are not really approved methods for canning. I'm going to add a little something extra to these before I add the broth, because I usually add these flavors when I make ham and bean soup. My secret ingredients here are Worcestershire sauce and liquid smoke. So I'm going to put like tablespoon-ish of Worcestershire and just a little bit of liquid smoke. Liquid smoke is very strong. A little bit goes a long way. You don't need a lot. So just a few. That might have been like a quarter teaspoon. A few drops. Okay, and then I'm going to do the broth, just like I did with the chicken soup. And we'll see if I have enough. Did I judge right with 2 quarts? I might be a little bit short, in which case I'll fill with water. Oh, I have a little bit left. Awesome. Okay, I'm going to debubble these. Debubbling is an important process. Keeps things from air being trapped in there and expanding in the heat and breaking your seals and your jars. So that is ready. Here's the next part. Bring my chicken soups back over. And I'm going to get my vinegar and washcloth to do the rinse. I have my lids have been soaking in hot water here. And I have my rings. I am using my digital canner today. I think I introduced you guys to that one sometime during January. I will try to find the video where I talked more in depth about it and link that for you in an iCard in case you're interested in those or in the science of them. Get my lids on here. Get my rings fingertip tight. Remember that fingertip tight means that you don't use your whole hand. Use your fingers. Okay, these are going to go in my canner. Now, when you are canning your own soup, your guideline for canning time is going to be whatever normal pressure it is. Pressure can, not water bath. This is not a water bath canning item. Pressure can, whatever your normal weight or gauge is. At my elevation, I have to use 15 pounds of pressure. It's just a different top thing on this one. And you use whatever your amount of time is for quarts versus pints, whatever that is, for the item in your jar that takes the longest to cook. So in this case, I am using, it's meat. I have chicken and ham, which are both going to be for a quart, 90 minutes. For a pint, they would be 75 minutes. If you are using, I still do, if I don't have meat in it, I rarely can anything without meat, but if I don't have meat in it, I think I still do an hour just to make sure, because usually there's some kind of meat broth, that type of thing. But these are going to go in the canner for 90 minutes. Putting it on exhaust.